talked earlier in another video about the rotation that is going to software. As anybody know, that software have taken a beat, big, huge beat because of AI. The thesis is, well, if AI can do your job, why would I give you my money? Which makes absolute sense. And by doing your job, it means any company that does SaaS, business to business or business to consumer, and this service you're providing could be replaced by Cloud Code or by whatever codex in a weekend by just somebody vibe coding something. So why would I assume that you're gonna keep growing? Even though you have companies like Adobe, they still report earnings, but if you take a look at the chart, Adobe is really, really, really bad, and no matter what they do, no matter how positive their earnings are, just nobody trusts them. Which make absolute sense because people can use Gemini now, the Gemini model, just to do some Photoshop skills, which is the biggest. It's not the only service that Adobe provides, but it's the biggest. But software, we've been seeing now that there's a lot of money going away from the semiconductors. Micron has been just dropping so hard, nobody can believe it, but it makes sense because it's not going to keep going up forever, even though there's a demand on memory, blah, 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 and the whole universe will collapse if we don't just keep buying memory forever. I get it, but it is what it is. And that money needs to go somewhere because there's no other attraction happening. And the only sector that was completely affected by AI, it makes sense to be the sector that people should pay attention to when we say that's enough spending on AI. That's enough spending on AI means that's enough spending on memory, which memory is AI now in the markets. So if I take a look at the IGV, it looks like it has been growing in the past few weeks. The volume is not there yet, but it is happening. And starting in April also, it started growing in volume and started going up. But we need to understand that software gets split into few subcategories. We have the data observability, we have cybersecurity, we have enterprise/services, pure software services, and we have the software, but they're still doing AI, which is Microsoft. So enterprise, we're going to be talking about now, ServiceNow, Adobe, CRM or Salesforce. Cybersecurity will be CrowdStrike. Observability will be Snowflake or ServiceNow. Anything has to do with AI directly or supports AI is doing well. Anything that AI promises to replace is not doing well. Oh, that means they're different. They're very different. AI, because I'm in software, so I can tell you about this with more details. When you're gonna bring AI to create a software for you or an application or whatever, it brings in some risks because the code that was used to create that application was not reviewed by a human or by an expert. And no, AI cannot just do the full review on its own. So that could introduce some risks and some vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities means, for example, if you're going to build a house and you brought somebody who claims to be an expert but they're not, they might leave little problems here and there, little holes, backdoors. That's exactly what happens with software. And that let you worry about something has to do with vulnerabilities in software, cybersecurity. So anything has to do with cybersecurity, if you're going to take a look at the charts, you're going to see that it has been doing great. It has been doing absolutely amazing. If you're going to take a look at CrowdStrike, for example, from April to now, 135%. I don't know. This is insane. And it's software because this supports AI. This supports artificial intelligence problems. At the same time, observability. Again, in software, if I'm going to be using AI to create so much software, that means that I will need a way to observe what's happening in the behind the hood or what's happening in the back end. What's going on? You need to do this in software, by the way. Anybody that's going to create an application that has a lot of people using it, or even few people using it, you need to have some observability. You need to observe and log what's happening so you can find problems and solve them quickly. So AI creates so much software, creates so much attention to software. That means you need more observability, and we see the results in something like Datadog. Again, it's going up, going huge, and it's not stopping. But if you're gonna take a look at Adobe, bad. If you're gonna take a look at Now, not good at all. Even though now we have to talk about it more in depth in this episode. Even Plantair, even though they use AI, but Plantair is a little different. Let's not talk about Plantair because it has so many other intricacies. But overall, yeah, software got hit because of AI, but there is a rotation happening. Why we say that? Because IGV compared to the SPX or the SPY in the last few weeks, it has been doing better than the SPY. SPY has been going down. It just cannot go up because the market is not in a good condition. The dollar is rising. Everything else is getting, I don't know, everything else is just falling. But software is not. And that takes me to now, the earnings reports. So in July, before the end of July, we have the earnings reports of Now, which is very interesting because usually they do well for earnings. Yeah, and at the same week, they might have dropped, but for the next few weeks, they always do pretty well. I want to show you what happened in the last earnings report. At the same day, they didn't do that much, but in the next week or so, they started a new trend, a new uptrend. And if I check another earnings report in the last one, I know they dropped a little bit, but they went up again. Maybe they didn't reach that level, but they actually started here. Then they went all the way up again. But that was actually the start of gaining momentum and volume for ServiceNow in January, start of this year. And this is in April. This is when all the software started going up. There is a big chance for the earnings reports of Now to be positive. And here's the thesis. We know there is a rotation happening. We know memory and AI is just getting exhausted, the trend up. It's just not doing as what you expect it to do. And now, technically, it looks pretty good. Not just Now. And also, most of the other software stocks, but specifically Now. This is an inverse head and shoulder. For those who love technical trading, it's not that hard to see. There is an inverse head and shoulder. Of course, it could be invalidated if we break below 90. Absolute invalidation. I would even say if you break below 98, that could be an invalidation, even though technically it should be the other shoulder, which is at around 89, so below 90. That earnings report will say everything. If that earnings report trigger a huge drop to the bottom, then yeah, that's it. I don't really see this happening at all. Doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't make sense because there is a rotation like starting to happen now. There is more volume to software. We can see the momentum. You can see all these software stocks, they have been increasing in volume. And they already almost exhausted their bearish downtrend. It is getting too much now. And technically, I like that inverse head and shoulders. So we need to pay attention to what's going to happen in July. After this, I think there's another one. We have Microsoft. Microsoft also has been having so much hard time, even though the earnings reports weren't that bad. But they have another earning report at 29th of July 29th, which is also end of this month. I also assume that will trigger another uptrend for Microsoft. If it go below this, it will be very ugly. That will be a head and shoulder for Microsoft. It completely got rejected and invalidated here, which is good, because if it dropped below the 350, then yeah, we could have seen the ugliest chart for Microsoft probably ever. I didn't even think if it came close in how many years Microsoft has been going. But I think that could be the end of this huge downtrend that happened for Microsoft that let it drop for about, I don't know how much, almost 40%. So I think it will start with ServiceNow. then it's gonna be Microsoft. Then it's gonna pull all the other software stocks. I do believe that these cybersecurity type of stocks, they're gonna keep running. They're very good. There's absolutely no reason for them to stop now. There is a need for them. There is a need for them in the age of AI. And without the AI, as long as software exists, you're always going to need cybersecurity. Observability, also the same case. I'm not seeing the trends are getting weaker. They look very strong to me. Their earnings reports are also going to be coming soon at the start of August. This one will be in September. But between now and September, yeah, I do believe that they're going to keep their uptrend. They're going to do well. But now, my eyes are on now, from now till July 22nd. I don't think the reaction will happen so quickly. It might happen in a while. And if you're going to go to social media, you're going to see a lot of people are also believing in this. They're also believing in now going up. A lot of people seeing what's going on. And yeah, software is doing well. Software is looking better. So I hope you gonna pay attention more to software stocks, because they look more pretty than the other one. They're much prettier than the other ones. And yeah, we're living through a really choppy time from now till October. It is what it is. Also, people like to look into patterns. You have the midterm. It's a midterm year, and midterm years based on patterns, they're always choppy. I want to call them bearish, but they're a little boring. So, but software might be a little more exciting than the others. Okay,